What's up, everybody? This is Sharp, and this is the Kicked Out at 2 review of AEW Dynamite for February 10th, 2020. I'm joined with Quags and Chris. How you guys doing?
Good. Eric, 2020 is behind us. We're in 2021.
Oh, 2021.
keep that behind us.
It's like elementary school when you always used to still put the date from the
and then you cross it heavy with pen.
All right. So the show,
honestly, a great way to start the podcast. Just a great way to start the podcast.
You gotta get all the mishaps out. All right, so the show is live from Daly's place. Real quick, what do you guys think about the venue in general? Let's go to Chris first.
During a pandemic, I actually think it's a very solid choice. An open area, you don't want any bad press on you, and I actually like that they have the wrestlers around creating cheers. One's like a heel section, one's like a babyface section. It adds to the show a lot, so I think that's actually a pretty good venue.
What do you think, Quags?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is a great example of some of the innovation that AEW is able to bring in, because back when we had WWE just at the Performance Center, AEW was the first to bring wrestlers in around the ring, then to go outside. I mean, feels pretty safe, and it makes it, even with 20% capacity or whatever it is, so much more lively. So I dig it.
I do too, except it kind of pisses me off when all the good guys sing Judas. But, I'm like, why are they so pumped about that guy?
Everyone likes to join in.
So first match, we had Darby Allin versus Joey Janella. Darby Allin retained the TNT Championship. 10 minutes. I thought it was a pretty damn good back and forth match. What'd you think, Quags?
This had my favorite thing in wrestling, which was guys that work off each other's moves, guys or girls. So many good counters, back and forths, couple pretty stiff hits, I felt like, pretty stiff attacks. And you got to love the coffin drop. That's a fun finisher for me. So I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a good job.
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually think it was a really good way to start. I was actually curious of because they're really pushing Darby as kind of their face, with the TNT title. So I was kind of looking at that as when they're starting off the show. I was like, okay, it's going to be kind of a banger. And what I actually thought was pretty interesting was these are two primarily hardcore guys, as in they're putting any type of weaponry and stuff like that. And this was just kind of a straight up match. So I think it actually proved that both of them could go. Obviously it was hard to see any other outcome besides Darby winning, so that suspense belief wasn't happening, but it showed that they could go. I mean, Janella is a name, but they haven't really used him, to be honest.
So yeah, I was gonna say I love the match. I think Darby's moves are so much, when he does a dive, it's so much more intense. He doesn't just dive and push someone, he fucking barrels them over. I love that in the beginning he was working on Janella's arm, and then when he finished the match, I don't know if you guys saw it, but he did a scoop slam, but he had his arm under his body, and he did that, and then that led to the coffin drop. And I love the attention to detail when they do anything like that. But I was definitely saying, what has Janella done? He hasn't even been on television in 2 months. What has he done to earn a title match? I mean, I don't know if you guys think that even matters.
They lean on Dark, I think, a lot for that. And I don't know if Janella was on a run. I mean, I have Dark, but my guess is that he was. I just want to mention the suicide dive thing. There's nothing that can look so unimpressive on TV, and then if you ever see it in real life, it looks so crazy. And I think Darby did a good job, or maybe they did a good job of filming it. But it looked crazy when he jumped out, and he does it, and then he makes a point to slam himself into the barricade after. Yeah,
just head first. Yeah, I mean, Janelle hasn't done anything, but when they were signing talent in the beginning of the beginning of their promotion, he was one of the bigger names that was coming on and stuff, kind of on the indie scene, and I don't know. I think they just needed steam for Darby, and they were just like, let's get a name. Joey's out there, and then they can go. I think it showed that Joey can like do stuff now. I know he's doing that tag team thing with the Sony Kiss, but I don't know. It's they make it more important. Like each weekly show, like being on Dynamite is like a big deal, which I think they should always promote that.
Definitely. All right.
Yeah.
So then we had Moxley. He was cut like a promo about facing Kenta for the NJPW US title, and then I think he just said something like, "But coming up later, it's just gonna be fun. It's just for fun," which was kind of weird to me. Where I guess it's just like he's a crazy guy who uses weapons, so it's fun. But
I totally agree that this was convoluted, and not to get ahead of ourselves, but that was foreshadowing to me. I'm like, wait, what is this for? Like, who's he mad at? That was a little bit like,
yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just wanted to add, sorry, Eric.
No, you're good. You're good.
I just want to add, I do like when they're adding up like the new cross promoting stuff, the New Japan stuff. But like, I mean, you guys probably maybe watch New Japan more than I do. I know we kind of watch like different more shows. I know we're all watch more of Dynamite. But like, how much does like a viewer know about like this US title? Like, I knew about it and stuff like that. But like, it is, you are pushing the envelope a little bit.
Absolutely, and they don't really tell you. They're like, Excalibur will briefly be like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah." They had the
all in
one breath. Like a little vignette or something with it. But yeah, okay. So then we had
let's save it till the end because
there's a lot of like convoluted
save it to the end because I have a lot of thoughts about that.
All right. So Sammy Guevara confronted MJF. At this point, my TNT app was going in and out. So I think he just like confronted him, and then MJF just like trying to record him, but Sammy Guevara caught him. And then Guevara punched him in the stomach. It was fine to me. It's continuation of the story.
Little over the top.
I thought it was very real. A little. It was over the top, but I thought it was realistic. Like, I bought that MJF would try and screw Sammy into saying something about Jericho, and then Sammy would be like, "F you, man." But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's right, I guess, but yeah.
Like, it was over the top, but like, thankfully, and I think what the show does, and this sounds negative, but I actually don't mean it to be negative, but it like the show doesn't make me feel like an idiot. So like when Sammy like just like says like he's like telling him off, and MJF like just says like, "No, you said exactly what I want you to say," and grabs his phone. And then if Sammy like didn't like grab his phone, I would be like, "How dumb is this guy?"
Oh, gee whiz.
I wonder why he said that. So I actually think so. It's weird to say.
Oh, darn it!
But like, I actually think that's like one of AEW's like finer points, as in like they're not gonna make you feel like an idiot.
No, I agree with that. All right, so then we had Cody Rhodes and Lee. What a surprise treat we were in for here. Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson beat Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi in about 8 minutes when Johnson rolled up Peter Avalon. All right, what do you think about this one, Chris?
Cody does a lot to help non-essential guys, but like, I get it. He I hope like his mind is in the right set, as in like you want to help the lower tier guys. I get that. And I know Lee Johnson's part of his like new school, like that Nightmare Factory like stuff with like UT Marshall. I totally understand that. So it's like if you watch Dark, I actually think what they do well in Dark going into Dynamite, they prelude a lot of stuff like going in, like they kind of prelude Peter Avalon and Bononi being a team, and then it kind of the finish was kind of already set in stone like a little bit. What I will say is like, yeah, it's just a big win from Lee Johnson, but they like highlighted that he's literally like a loser, 0-29 or something like that. I was like, you could calm down with that. But like, what I will say is that, yeah, they want to just highlight him have a big win, but like a little small note, I actually like the like pairings. Like I actually think Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi, I think that's his name. It just like looks like it makes sense, and I think that's another thing that actually like Tony Khan actually does really well with like guys.
What do you think, Quags?
Yeah, right. I'm looking at Lee Johnson and thinking, okay, it's all kind of there, but man, it's 1 second away from total botch, I feel like almost every minute. And the moves are good, but it's sloppy. I'm like kind of nervous watching it. Um, does Peter Avalon really have to get beat on a roll up? Now, I guess I didn't see the foreshadowing of it, but that was weird to me. Like, if he's gonna win, like have him win with a true pin. Yeah, my biggest takeaway from this match was that I hate when they do the picture-in-picture. I would rather just go to commercial. So I don't know what that says about the match, but
see, the actual picture
yeah, but God
doesn't
bless
bother
Cody,
me. Yeah, he's just like out there. Yeah, but he's like doing this. Meanwhile, he's like feuding with Shaq, and then like next week, like Jane Cargill's gonna bitch slap him. Like he's just all over the place, right? And then Snoop Dogg's with him. But I just thought this was. I get what you were saying, Christopher, that they do a lot of good stuff on Dark. He had this long losing streak. But at the end of the day, I don't think anyone cared about this at all. The speech afterwards that he made was fine. It was nice. At least it had actual like raw emotion and didn't feel like you were watching Raw with like someone said Henry Ford once said blah blah blah. Like it was actually seemed like he was genuinely about it. But I just don't need to see Peter Avalon personally. I don't think he's good at all.
No. It's just funny.
I mean, he's like competent in ring, but like
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of the picture-in-picture, and I don't know if this, like, if you guys notice this, but what bothers me, and maybe it's just like one of like those things. What bothers me till no end that like they didn't really do it on this show, but what AEW does like a lot, and I just hate it, is like the announcer's like, all right, and we're gonna go to a commercial. We'll see you back soon, and then it's just like 7 seconds or 10 seconds of just awkward silence. They just get the timing wrong of the commercial. And I'm like, it just looks so unprofessional. And they like did that for like maybe like a couple weeks straight. I was like, who like, and you guys probably will have a better understanding of this working like kind of in the TV industry. Is it really that hard to count someone down to go into commercial?
It's just it's so obvious too, like compared to WWE, where despite what you think about the product, they're so crisp with anything production wise. They almost never mess up anything. But I'm always just like, I always just like look at it, and this isn't the right way to think about it, but I'm like, oh, it's almost kind of charming. These little mess
And you just see JR fumbling. It's like, oh, I thought we were going to commercial soon. I'm just like, this is coming off as like stupid.
All right, let's shoot to the next thing. We had a pre-tape of the Young Bucks, and then this is gonna happen at least 3 times in this show. This is one of my top 10 complaints about AEW. Whenever they do any type of interview, somebody interrupts it, like within the first 2 sentences. Good Brothers come out. They talk about their match with Private Party coming up on Impact, and then the Young Bucks randomly are just like, yeah, well, we're challenging Proud and Powerful to a title match, which I get it. Like, good guys want to like be fighting champions, but this all just seemed like too many insider terms, too much going on. Quags, what do you think?
This was BTE. This was absolutely a BTE segment that made it onto Dynamite. And some of those are fine, but sometimes you're like, okay, we got it. Like, and does the casual fan that care about it? I don't know. I don't complain about it so much. Like, I watch BTE actually, but it's also, I mean, sometimes you're just like, chill with some of this stuff. It was so self congratulatory.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, it's just essentially exactly like what I thought. It's basically like when the Young Bucks are in the ring, you want to watch them when they're talking. It's pretty skippable at times.
They're brutal, dude. They're brutal. All right, so then we had Dasha interviewed Hangman about tagging with Hardy, but then he was interrupted by Matt Hardy, and he's like, come, let's talk shop at the bar. Hangman said, are you buying? And he's in. It was fine. This didn't bother me. And then they walked by the Dark Order and had the awkward moment, which I thought John Silver was really funny in this.
Yes. No, I completely agree with that. John Silver is just amazing. I hope like he needs to be more like what him stuff in BTE is like so like hilarious over the top. And I feel like on TV he just kind of like dilutes it a little bit. Like I'm kind of more of like just go balls to the walls. That's what's like getting you there and stuff. But I am not like a big Matt Hardy fan at all, to be honest. I think he's too old. I think this is a step back from Adam Page, to be honest.
All right, interesting. There's going to be a segment later where I'll disagree, but Quags, what do you think?
Let's. So I think John Silver is going to end up with like an Adult Swim show. To be honest with you, I mean, I can really see that happening.
Extreme Tim and Eric vibes. He was the Beaver Boys.
And before. I love it. Exactly. I saw the Beaver Boys against Private Party in CZW like 8 years ago.
That's cool. That's cool.
Real talk. But anyway, I love this angle. I love the Dark Order like loving Adam Page and him being like, no, I'm good. Like you guys are. The Matt Hardy thing, I'll table for later because I think I might agree with parts of both of you. So let's talk about it when they get to the bar.
Fair enough.
Dope. All right, then we had Pac beating Ryan Nemeth, 4 minutes with the Brutalizer. I thought this was just like exactly what it needed to be. Just a quick 4-minute match. Get put Pac over. What do you think, Quags?
Totally agree. No need to comment further.
We finally got our squash match.
Yeah.
I felt like I was just watching like so much competitiveness with like we talk about Peter Avalon. I was like, what world like do we think that like these guys are competitive with one another? But I will say
wait, real quick, I was gonna say 2 out of the 3, like the first 3 matches, we had 2 singles matches, which for AEW is like that never happens.
Yes.
Always like 6-man tags and shit.
They just want to get everyone on. I will say this though, is that Ryan Nemeth is literally a watered down version of Dolph, like to a T. He didn't even like same hair, and I'm just like the same tights, same moves. I was like, are you gonna do anything different? And I'm just like, we've seen
Hollywood.
Dolph. Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
It was weird. I was just like, it was kind of like, especially being on Dynamite, it's a big moment, but I mean, I don't know.
All right, then.
It apparently worked for him.
Yeah.
So Miro did like a narration over a recap of that wedding segment from last week that I don't want to think about too much. I did think it was funny that they went to Orange Cassidy and Chuck and they said like pretty much it's a wrestling wedding. What did you guys think was going to happen? Any thoughts?
Funny, whatever. Miro's great.
Yeah, I actually will say that this was actually what we needed. I felt like Miro kind of going into it, he was kind of a little bit too chummy, a little bit too like uber joking around and stuff like that.
A little bit.
It was just because he wasn't featured a lot, so I was wondering if they're kind of slowly bringing him in. But like, you could only have so many guys in the main event. But it was like he came off as very aggressive, and I was like, this is the guy that I want to watch. I was like, he sounded like way more like of a like kind of like what was it back then, like more of like kind of like the big monster that he was.
It's so bizarre too watching him do all this goofy stuff, and then he'll have spurts where he goes on like a 2-minute rampage and just beats the shit out of people. And it's like, this guy's really talented.
Yeah,
why is he talking about video games so much?
Yeah, so he could like just beat the crap out of a lot of guys.
Yeah, this is very much one of those WWE, AEW things where when you let the wrestlers write, sometimes they could use a writer because both of those things are part of his personality, but they need to figure out how to make it more like, oh, I'm a nice guy until you really piss me off.
Right.
Yeah. I would agree
just
with
clean
that.
it up.
And it's like also, I know he does Twitch stuff and he's super into gaming, but I own a lizard. I wouldn't be like, I got to make that part of my gimmick. Like, I'm a lizard guy. Like, you don't have to put every part of your personality. I don't know. There's too much video game
no,
stuff.
Sharpie,
Oh, yeah.
Sharpie, that is the gimmick.
Yeah.
You're a lizard guy.
Lizard guy.
You're just lizard person now.
All right, so then we had MJF come in to tell Jericho that Sammy sucker punched him in the gut. Jericho said they'd sort it out later. Any comment? Let's go to Quags first.
Let's get to the match. Can I just comment on the So, all right, number one, I love Jericho, but Jericho shouldn't be wrestling like random matches now anymore. It's time to like good matches, fine, but like random matches, like he's fine in the ring and everything, but I don't know. I kind of feel like they need to make it more of a special thing. And for him and his very old body, which I know if Jericho, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Love you, but it's just reality.
I don't think you got to worry about that.
We have to shoot higher.
The match was good. I didn't love the whole situation with MJF and Jericho before, where he's like, "What happened?" But when Sammy left, I thought that looked good because it looked like he was really pissed or like bummed or didn't really know what to do. Like, so at first I was like, "Is this like Jericho dealing with office politics?" Kind of annoyed with like, "This is come on, let's get over this." But at the end, with real consequences from it, and it looked like he was really like bummed out about it. Basically, I thought that actually came around pretty well.
No, yeah, and it goes back to my comment says it just doesn't make you feel like an idiot. Like you just get like something happened and there's a consequence to it, as in like you don't have to wonder. I'm like, oh, what just happened there? I will say so. It was just a punch, like in the stomach, and I was thinking that MJF was like really selling it, like maybe as to like milk it to Jericho. But then during the match, they were really like heavily like on like, oh, he got sucker punched in the gut. I'm like, you're talking about like matches where they get dropped on their heads, they're diving over the top rope.
I like it though because that
it doesn't make sense to me. I was just like, he just gets punched.
Baby about it.
Yeah, he's a baby about it, but it's just like I thought he was milking in front of Jericho, but like the Acclaimed working on it, and he was really selling it. I was like, am I the only one who thinks like you just got punched in the stomach, and that was like about it? I will say so. I am huge fans of the Acclaimed, big fan.
I did think their rap this week was funny.
Rap was good.
Yeah, yes. This one was good. I think they're talented. I will say it was just strange though having this. I as soon as the match started, I was like, who were we supposed to be cheering for? Because it was the heel versus heel.
Yeah, that was confusing. But
and
like,
I couldn't get that into it, even though it was a fine match. There was nothing bad, but
you know what bothered me? Like, I'm not sure if you guys saw this because
I enjoyed.
Yeah. Like, did you guys see like the beginning of like I thought their rap in the beginning of the match was good, but did you guys see like their diss track like to them when they made fun of like that debonair dinner segment from MJF and Jericho?
I don't even remember.
This is what I mean. That like I watched it. It was like I was on Dark, and then they like tweeted it out or whatever, and it was actually really good. Like it was actually a really good diss track, like rap and like beats. And I'm like watching it. I'm like, why is this on Dark? Why isn't like I don't need a random.
Or if it is on Dark, then just also be like, hey, we saw this on Dark, blah blah blah. That would give more people a reason to watch that, and we get to see what actually happened on the actual show. I don't get why they don't do that more often.
Exactly. So like I'm explaining it to like you guys, and I'm like thinking like, why isn't it like not like on TV? Like,
why doesn't everyone love the?
And I was just like, this is good, man. I was like, this is good. And I was just like, this is the stuff they should be showing, not like a random like 30-second. Like Young Bucks getting interrupted by someone, be like, all right, we're gonna have this later. I'm like, okay, like that was pointless to me.
The other thing I want to say about this match is, I know Aubrey gets a lot of love. We haven't talked about her on this podcast yet, but I loved when she like broke up the illegal hold by just kicking them in the arm. And I think they have that relationship.
Note down. That was the best. I love when referees do that.
No, it's just fun.
Yeah.
I think we like all like probably watched that thinking like, oh, that's just like a good moment to like have.
Classic wrestling spot.
Yeah, exactly. Like why shy away from that?
Yeah, and they have a relationship like she does with Jericho and MJF. So it's like, she's like, I'm not taking any shit. Like she's the ref that would just kick you in the arm instead of like being like, no.
All right, so then after the match, Sammy came out, quit Inner Circle. I thought it was a little underwhelming, like quitting segment, but it's taken long enough, so I was happy that it actually just finally happened.
Yeah. They need homegrown talent,
Mhm.
and I think this is a good avenue for Sammy. I think he could be a star. It goes back to I say I'm not the biggest Hardy fan. I don't really agree with why Sammy had to kind of job out to Hardy. I thought he could have kind of maybe used that as steam, and I think he could actually be a good singles competitor on his own and stuff. But again, he needs an avenue for it, and MJF might be that avenue.
Yeah.
There was
What do you think, Quags? Where do you think it
good
leads?
self-awareness. Well, I think there was some good self-awareness when JR even said during the match, we're going to look up and everybody's going to be in Inner Circle pretty soon. Basically being, this faction is getting too big. So I think it probably leads to some, Sammy could fight anybody, probably MJF. He'll have a big match with MJF. But he could wrestle Jericho. He could wrestle any of the guys. So yeah, Sammy's great. Right? The other thing with AEW, I had this note about Darby too earlier. They're so young. They're so young. There's so much, so many good places to go. It's gonna be great. I'm excited.
All right. So then we had the second part. Hangman and Hardy chatting at the bar. Hangman was pounding his drinks while Hardy was throwing him over his shoulder or whatever. Hangman swapped out the contract and signed something while Hardy was kind of tongue-in-cheek being hey, he's not gonna like this. I'll real quick say I like this. It doesn't make sense that he just was final deletion Matt Hardy and then without reason he turned into a sleazy agent. But I like the sleazy grimy guy character. I think it's funny. I think it's kind of meta because I think he's kind of poking fun at McMahon with the cameo type stuff where he's taking percentages of people's. I think it's just kind of relatable and fun, but yeah, I don't know. There's just already been too many silly tongue-in-cheek things on this show, and it was fine though.
Chris, you can take a dump on it in a minute, but I want to say, yeah, I enjoy it too.
I like that. I think he's funny.
I just like when I first, I only started watching wrestling in 2013, and so just seeing Jericho was my first probably foray into somebody reinventing themselves so much regularly, and it's just now they're a different person and they're not an evil version of themselves or whatever. They're just a different character. So I really enjoy that, and think the Hardy character being if you want to say it's Vince or whoever it is, just anybody in the wrestling business probably that tricks all these young guys into doing things. I love Hangman. He's probably my favorite wrestler in AEW. So everything with him, I do just want to note it's not a legally binding contract if he's under the influence. So Hardy's gonna have a tough time in court.
Proving that.
Yeah, didn't he say when he sobers up he's gonna regret this or something like that?
So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna completely hate on this. I'm not even mad about how Hardy being so over the top. I get it, that's just it's funny. I'm more upset with I like Adam Page a lot, and honestly, when they started the company, he was going to be this big baby face type of champion, loses, and people kind of weren't really into it. I was oh, this hum good guy, but then he started doing this little tweener thing, and when one of the best matches they had, it was Kenny and Hangman against the Young Bucks, and Hangman was the most over guy on that part. And it was because he was thinking about turning. He was no, I'm doing this on my own or whatever. And now I feel like he's kind of taking a step back because how many times have we already seen this with Hangman? He's oh, I thought FTR was my friends. And no, he's not. Oh, I thought Hardy was a buddy of mine. And it's just
they made his alcoholism sad. Where
it's it's a lot. So I'm yeah, it's a fine line, but I'm just he's gonna have to kind of realize sooner or later, you're pushing it a little bit.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think I like him a lot, but I'm not that interested in anything he does right now. So He was so high at one point, and I think a lot of it's lost because the fans are not there. I think they would still they would be pushing him along and giving him big ovations, but
it's such an entrance pop for him. So that you got to think of some of these guys that are more by that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the fingers in the air, the gun in the air, it's so sick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, so then we had Sting for like the 12th week in a row, walks out to do an interview with Shivani, and he gets interrupted, baby. And
Interrupted!
Team Taz dragged Darby Allin in a body bag. What do you think, Quags?
It's like Darby Allin showing off that he's okay to be dragged in a body bag. Pass. Like, okay.
I mean, I actually like Team Taz. I actually think another solid pairing of like a good amount of guys, like kind of like just a group of thugs like going at it. But like I did note, I'm like, they're just beating up Darby too much. Like they put him in a body bag with thumbtacks through him like on the floor. They just like take skateboards and crack it over his head, and now they're dragging him. Like, we get it, he's willing to do whatever he wants, but like, like, can you not make him seem like he's gonna?
Yes. Yes.
So wait, actually, if they're gonna have him do crazy stuff, I like that they incorporated it into an angle rather than just show him jumping off a bridge. But the thing in this that cracked me up was they. Not that I know what he should do, but they showed them drag his body up, and then Sting just kind of like jogged backstage.
He's like, "Oh, I gotta go get him now."
It was like I don't know if you just stay because they're not gonna catch up to him. But he didn't really look that concerned either.
That's so true. He's not gonna catch the car. What are you doing?
It's like,
just
don't worry.
give the interview.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be like, let's carry on. My dude is screwed.
It's like, it's kind of awkward continuing the interview if like you just see your partner just getting dragged on the street.
But it wasn't like he just shot back and he's like, God damn it, and like ran back to catch him. He just kind of like oh.
He's like, oh, I gotta do something. I gotta call someone. I will admit, like this is where the production comes in, as in like, yeah, they could show him dragging him or whatever. No point of showing Sting and Tony Schiavone like after that. They should have like, that's a point to cut to commercial. So then you don't have to deal with like.
If they hadn't shown him, you would be like, wait, what did Sting?
He's just standing there.
I don't even know how you handle that.
I don't know. I just thought it was like kind of like those like segments can be fun. Like I thought it was kind of like hilarious that like they zipped up Darby, and Brian Cage, being the biggest like muscle bound guy, is like jumping into this tiny trunk, where I thought that was just funny in general. And they're just like, yeah, let's drag this guy. Like, okay.
All right. So then we had Alex Marvez interviewing Omega on a golf course. He hit the ball where it's clear that he's never played golf before. They pretended that he made it in the hole. It wasn't like a hole in one; it was like a chip shot type of deal. And I don't know. He just talked about how good he was. I just thought this made him kind of look dorky. It was just like he doesn't know how to play sports.
Looked fat in the polo shirt too.
Yeah, he did.
Guys, this is the Kenny we need. We don't need the Kenny from last year or the year before that's kind of like having competitive with no-name guys. I understand you wanted to build a tag division. That was awesome. We need this Kenny. Like, I even kept it as a note. Like, I could talk about it like later on during the main event match. But Kenny needs to stay in the main event for a long time. Like, I think he makes the show better. I thought the segment was pretty funny. He is going to be wearing outlandish stuff and just doing like silly things like playing golf, which he has no business of doing.
Yeah, it was funny to see like the idea of rich, like a guy being like too cool doing rich guy stuff, not really.
Yeah.
But somebody told him like, what do like wealthy, like successful people do? Like,
oh. He did like a brief like instruction with like a local golf instructor of like how to hit a golf ball. Which like I guess maybe that plays into the joke a little bit, but I don't think he should be if anything, I think it should be like a Mr. Perfect. He actually like hits the golf ball really good, and Kenny's just good at everything, maybe rather than being delusional.
The delusion brings heat sometimes, and I will say that
Yeah.
Don Callis, I think, is a solid manager. I think he keeps it simple, and a lot of people tend to get too complicated with it. The manager of a heel guy bring heat on him, and he just chugs up like, "Oh yeah, Kenny, you're the best. Oh yeah, Kenny, you're great." It's just like that just gets so annoying, and it's like, and it's great. That's what you need.
Nah, I love Callis too. All right, so then we had Thunder Rosa beating Layla Hirsch like 9 minutes to advance in the first round of the Eliminator tournament. What did you think, Quags?
All right, so this was the first women's match. I know AEW is like a weaker women's division, but the combination of putting the match this far down in the card and then also making it 10 minutes is weird. It's a weird choice, especially when, I mean, like Thunder Rosa is supposed to be pretty awesome, right? Like nothing against Hirsch. Also, another woman wrestler wearing legit on her gear.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that actually.
Nice point.
I just saw that and I was like, I don't know about that, but yeah, it was okay. It's sloppy. They need their women's division needs some help, and I think Thunder Rosa is good, but maybe she was being held back in this. Like we all know, it's like takes two to tango, but. Yeah, I thought it was okay. I like her. I really like Thunder Rosa. I find her like really compelling. I find her promos compelling. But yeah, the match was just okay to me. And I wish that if it was going to be 10 minutes, put it higher up and then make it 7 minutes and then do one that's 5 minutes. I don't know. Just kind of my takes.
We just need characters. Like it's the same spiel. Like we see all the articles and all the different stuff about like, oh, the women need help and all that stuff. It's hard to care exactly, but like so far, I don't even know if Thunder Rosa is signed. Like I know that they were doing like kind of that cross promotion with NWA, and so I'm like, is she even signed? She's great. I like her. Layla Hirsch. Like I'm sure they could all mostly go, but like it is really tough to invest in this match and the rest of these matches. Like this whole tournament thing. Like, I get it. Like, tournaments kind of build, like, okay, emphasis on wins and losses. But, like, what fans on the Japanese side of the bracket, like the Uber fans, they were going down the list. And I was like, I can say.
I don't even know any of them. Yeah.
I was just like, I don't even know what I'm watching at this point. Like, they do have a star in that Jade Cargill. And I'm thinking, like, just start building stars. You got a character in Britt Baker. Hopefully they sign Thunder Rosa. It's just they need stars to carry. You can't just put two women and just be like, hey, we have women. They're going. I'm like, okay, but we need something to kind of sink our teeth into.
I'm actually going to, I agree with all that. You need more characters. I thought this was a really good match. Layla. I've seen Layla Hirsch wrestle a bunch of times now, and besides the fact that when she walks out, she's disturbingly short. I'm always just she's like a legit wrestler in her like transitions into arm bars and all that stuff. It's just completely different than a lot of the other women. And I mean, you guys both said you like her. I think Thunder Rosa is really good. Suffers from having the same face paint job as Darby Allin,
that's
except the Day of the Dead style. But I thought it was a really good match. Except Layla Hirsch is a little rough around the edges still, but I think if I'm them, I sign her immediately. I think she's better than 90% of the female roster.
I will say the note I had, and maybe I was being too critical too, is we're getting late here also. But I did really enjoy when they use like actual wrestling tactics.
Yeah.
The arm bars and the rolls. I have no idea what it's actually called. But, and it's like, oh yeah, like it's cool to have someone who's actually a wrestler. Like Dolph does that every now and then, right? Like when he's not
throwing some amateur stuff in, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's cool, and it's different. It's a differentiator, and it could build a character, and then you could see someone cutting a promo, right? Being like you could see Layla being like, I really know how to wrestle. I'm not jumping off the top rope like you showboats.
Yeah,
exactly.
She did jump. She did do like 4 moonsaults.
Exactly.
Which it really like stood out how short she was when she was climbing the turnbuckles. Like where it's like a dude can almost just like take one jump to the top. All right, then we had Jungle Boy got interviewed. They like revealed that Marco Stunt's all good from being like tied to a chair and tortured or whatever. And they're not trying to get FTR suspended because they want to kind of just like beat him up in real life, and that they're gonna make. This is the classic wrestling thing. We're gonna make him our bitch, or I'm gonna make him my bitch. Everyone says that, and it's just like, all right, we've heard that for the 1,000th time. I thought it was okay. What'd you think, Chris?
Everyone says bitch. Like, let's just kind of like get a
like it's like incredible.
Let's get away from that for a little bit. But like it shows that Jungle Boy is going to be their next star. It shows. So I'm excited they got the new entrance music. I think that's going to even build that up even more. FTR is like my favorite tag team. So I was really happy when they signed with AEW because then I knew that we were going to see great matches from them. So I actually like that they're having feuds that is not necessarily for titles, because sometimes that was like everyone was conditioned for, like, we should only care about tag teams if it's for the title, if any, like at that moment. So it's nice that we get some feuds, and like I said, we just talked about women needing characters. These are characters like Jurassic Express, literally a giant dinosaur and this Jungle Boy guy against these two like rugged like Southern Carolina guys or whatever. It's like that's something you can kind of sink your teeth into.
Yeah, I totally agree. I find Jungle Boy to be really compelling. I thought this promo was really compelling too. It's great. It's good tag teams. Not everything has to be or should be for the title. Yeah, well done.
All right, so then the main event, Kenta and Omega beat Moxley and Archer, like 19 minutes, false count anywhere, crazy weapons. Went into a kitchen. The double stomp from Kenta was wild. Interference from the Good Brothers came at the end to help Omega win with the one-winged angel. Let's go to Quags first. What'd you think?
Love that Kenta has a Money in the Bank. Did not fully realize that. So to circle back to the beginning, like this match was a little bit of a representation to me of my confusion from Moxley's promo in the beginning, where you're like, wait, he's fighting this guy, but he's also fighting these other guys. And that's okay, and I get that. I love the cross promotion. I think that's great, and ultimately that's how you're going to build like sort of the parts of the Power Rangers coming together to form like the thing. Just to compete or to have like a huge show, like that's fun. Like we should acknowledge that there are other titles and all of that, but we need to tell the story with a little bit more sense. So I think right now we're throwing everything at the wall and kind of seeing how it shakes out, which is
very much.
And don't get me wrong, like the match was fun as hell, like really fun. Love the just total chaos. Clearly that's what they were going for. The kitchen stuff was great, like Moxley beating people up with potatoes. Come on. You can't beat that.
Just saying it out loud is funny.
But at times you're like, wait, who is Archer? And then at one point I was like, why is Lance Archer fighting with John Moxley? Whatever. Like, you're kind of just find a way to enjoy it. Knew how it was gonna end. Like, absolutely the Good Brothers are gonna run in and some but that, I don't think that's wrong. Like that's fine. Sometimes you build up to get that resolution. Kenny is so good at that, like making it seem like he's the greatest. My last comment is Don Callis is the invisible hand, and he's on commentary and visible every week. So I think maybe. But
he's
I enjoyed
great
it.
on commentary when he actually talks.
He is good. He's good. I enjoy it, but I just find it funny to say the invisible hand is joining us.
Yeah, it's just like we know you're there. Quags, I was a Power Rangers freak when I was a kid. It's called a Megazord, by the way. Just fun fact for that. But
thank you for filling that in.
just to inform the masses. But I actually thought Lance Archer had a great outing. Like out of all these guys,
I did too.
Everyone kind of like looked at Kenta as and like, okay, it's cool that he's the cross promotion guy. So he's kind of like in that mold. And Moxley and Omega, I think they have great presentation that's already sold. So it's kind of like Archer's the kind of not so much the odd man out, but like again, he's a monster. Treat him like a monster, and he kind of
Mhm.
just that he just like no sold things in a
He
proper
was
way.
the guy that you knew was going to be taking the pin at the end of the match.
Yeah, but like you could still have a guy being shown well and take the pin in the match.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I
Yep.
even like that he had a little struggle to get him up, and then the Good Brothers kind of helped him out in that sense. I'm like, okay, this all makes sense in this sort of stuff. You're still you're protecting his monster side, but again, he's not the biggest name compared to the rest of these guys, at least in the AEW world. So like it did flow and make sense in that sort of realm.
The end when they hit him with the one-winged angel where they helped him get Archer up, I thought was awesome. I thought the very ending sequence was great. Anytime Jake the Snake gets involved, I hold my breath a little. He did not throw that clothesline that well, but I like seeing it. But I always am like, oh, something bad's gonna happen.
I know. Just every time it moves, and it's just like I do get worried. Like, just is it really necessary? Like, did we need that?
Yeah, Quags. But I totally agree with what you were saying in terms of they're throwing so much stuff at the wall and seeing if it's going to stick. But in this case, they were just throwing so much shit at the wall that I was like, whatever. They're using potatoes to fight. So, like,
I feel like
I thought it was fun. Yeah.
I feel like that was the point of this, so that's fine.
Yeah.
If they did this every week, like I remember way back when it started, you and I were texting Sharp, and we were like, look, you can't end every single week with a brawl. Like ending with a brawl. But I think they know that now. Yeah, this was good. But I will say, like, at one point I was like, oh, is Kenta about to cash in this like Money in the Bank thing? He's like, running up to the ref like this, and then he just smacked Moxley with it and like threw it out of the
that
ring.
briefcase is like that he gets to challenge him to a match. It's not like traditional money in the bank rules. Yeah.
See, like,
they don't explain anything. They're not like, what's the briefcase? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They might not even know.
Right. Yeah, I know.
The AEW ref, he doesn't know. The AEW ref gets it, and he just has the same look that WWE refs have with Money in the Bank. Like, what? What is this?
All right, so let's start out with, we're going to do something on Kicked Out of 2 review. We're going to pick our anvil of the night, which was what we thought was the worst part of the evening. Quags, let's go to you first. What was your least favorite part of tonight?
My least favorite part of tonight, as I stall because I have to look back. Oh man, I kind of hate that. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna take the easy one. The Young Bucks promo with brothers, just so masturbatory.
Too many insider terms thrown together.
Yeah, that's great on BTE, but let's try and keep that stuff off TV.
Yeah. All right, Chris, what do you think? What's your least favorite part of the evening?
Probably my least favorite part. I don't want to sound like a Matt Hardy hater, but totally know that I am sounding like a Matt Hardy hater. Just with Adam Page, I do think it's a step back. If I will say it will get saved a little bit. Let's just say for next week, Adam Page is just like, oh, did you look at the signature? I signed it as Daffy Duck or something stupid like that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's going to bring the show up.
It'll just make him seem like he's not as like stupid as in like, oh, I signed a contract for like no reason. Like, why? Like 50%. Like, it makes sense with Private Party. They're young guys. They do need to imagine.
Well, no, he swapped the contract out though. Adam, wait, didn't he like swap it out?
I don't know, but you're proving the point.
Yeah, as in like.
Yeah, I think he like secretly like swapped something else in, and they tried to do it like secretly. I don't know. It just...
If this builds into a good feud, like it's obviously a no-brainer. Adam Page is coming out on top with this. This is something for Matt Hardy to do. I just do think AEW sometimes needs to lean away from like, hey, we're all friends. Like I get Young Bucks, Matt Hardy, they were all friends and stuff like that. So it's like they're trying to like make everyone do some sort of thing. And I know Matt Hardy is actually kind of smart. He can't do his like his broken gimmick because it just doesn't make sense without a crowd. It's just like he's just going to come off as just odd and weird. So I actually like this skeevy thing, but I just don't want Adam Page to suffer and kind of look like an idiot coming down to this. So that's why I'll give it the worst one.
All right. I'm glad for the first time we're doing this, we all have different ones because mine was easily the Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson match. I don't need to see that on my television. No more comment. All right, so your rocket of the night, your favorite moment of the night, favorite match, favorite promo. Christopher, what do you think?
This was tough because it was a fun main event, but I actually I liked how the show started. We go with Darby and Janella. I think everyone kind of slept on Janella a little bit, and everyone's probably wondering like, oh, why are they showing with this? I think the TNT title is kind of like a proving ground a little bit. We saw it with Cody with a bunch of guys who weren't even part of the company. Now we got like guys coming in, so it was like really exciting and fun. And I think they kind of showed that they can go, and they're just not guys that are just going to just crash through windows or whatever. It just shows that they're very diverse, and I think both came out pretty well in that segment and match.
What do you think, Quags? Highlight of the night.
I'm gonna go like kind of for a different one, but I'm gonna say the Pac and Nemeth match. Like that was in the middle, but that was just solid filler selling clinic. Did what it had to do. Like keeps Pac elevated. Gave somebody on Dark like a time to be on TV and show out, and just like front to back was pretty clean and easy to execute, but hey, they didn't screw it up, so I'll go with that.
All right, well, everyone had a different least favorite match. Everyone had a different favorite match or favorite moment. Mine was easily the main event. Well, not easily. Close second was yours, Christopher, Janella's and Darby Allin. But there was just too much. Dude, Kevin jumped off the stage and did a double stop. The table didn't break.
Look, I'll be honest. I was trying to leave the main event for you, so.
That main event got too gnarly where I was like, I can't even. It gets past the point where you're like, oh, none of this makes sense. Where you're just like, fuck it, this is really.
This is just the route that they're going.
All right, so real quick, 1 to 10, Quags. What do you think?
I'll do a solid 8.5. I'm trying not to go too high. I mean, this is a really good show. Only a couple things to complain about. The stuff that I didn't really like was over quickly. 8.5.
Yeah, honestly, I would give it more of an 8.5. I actually thought the way how it started, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good show because we're all excited for the main event. I thought it was going to be kind of like a 9.5 show, but what kind of brought it down a little bit is like, not every women's match is going to bring it down, but there was just like you just said, your anvil was like the Cody and Lee Johnson stuff. It's like, I get it. You're trying to push stuff, but not everything's going to be a knockout of the park. So 8.5 is fair.
I give it an 8. I think I just have a more a tougher grading scale than you guys. there's too many things where people got interrupted on interviews. There's too much stuff that they have to clean up, but I still thought it was a really good show. An 8 for me is like a great show.
Yeah, 8 and 8.5 is not so far apart. We are.
No, I could almost went there. I thought this was one of the in the better episodes of Dynamite. I thought it was a really good show.
Knowing we were going to do this, I was happy. Like even after the first match, I was like,
yeah, that it wasn't like that the main event wasn't top flight.
Good show all around though. That I was actually excited when like we were watching the stuff. I'm like, oh, this is gonna give us like plenty of like dialogue to like talk about.
Yeah. All right. So any last words, boys?
No, this is fun. Let's do it again sometime.
Yes, I'm definitely down for that.
All right, that's been kicked out at 2 review. Later, guys.
Later.
Yeah.